minutes.
17th are done, yeah.
17th of August was done.
Not approved, though.
It's right here, and it says in the minutes.
The meeting before was approved.
We tabled it for consideration on carryover.
We
Oh, that's
did,
right.
okay.
We first.
Good thing you have a brain tonight.
Well, you know what, I don't know when you say make a motion before
There you guys.
discussion, because then what do you do?
Yeah, well, it happens.
Are we on?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good?
We're all set now. There's
All right.
3 people on there, I don't know who.
I'm here. This is Maria.
Who's that?
Maria.
He's there.
Yeah. All right, so I will,
This is Sarah Michelson. I'm here also.
Sarah, good to hear you. Anybody else online?
Yep, Maria Marchant's online. I'm home recovering from foot surgery, but wanted to make sure I joined in the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else online right now? Okay, so we just got those 2, right?
Where's Nicole?
Is Adam?
Adam's right here.
Adam's right here. Okay, so we've only got 2 on the phone, so that's fine. All right, so I will call the meeting to order at 7:35. Good stuff. Financial reports. Everybody should have received financial reports physically. And if there are any questions, what I'd like to do in the absence of the finance director is collect any questions that people have via email, and we can get those answers ex post facto.
Great.
Okay. Old business. Police invoices, $14,300. Now, Tim, if you can, this is, I know that we've had 2 meetings that we've talked about this. This is the outfitting of a police vehicle with lights, etc.
Yeah.
Correct? Yep.
Hey, Dave, can I, with apologies, just go back to the financial statement?
Sure.
And
Yeah.
I understand that Nicole answered the questions, but this is as much for Tim as anybody else. Under expenditures, I see that Nicole has stated that the full-time officer overtime is almost 50% of the fiscal year budget expended year to date, and that the rangers are over budget too. So without asking about specific numbers, refresh my recollection about the status of the question or the concept of why are the police and the rangers over budget consistently, and what are we doing to get our arms around that?
Well, this is a concern because obviously when we went through the budget, we increased the police overtime up to $80,000, and this one stayed as it was. So I think we need some pro forma explanation. I mean, it's already over, so you can't.
Well, yeah, it's not. We can't do anything about the past, but we certainly should do something about the future.
Well,
if it's inappropriate, maybe there's a good reason for it. I'm just asking, what are the reasons?
Yeah.
I think the budget's the budget, and we set the budget by increasing the one line item, and if there was an anticipation that the ranger line needed to be increased, that was not asked for.
Didn't we do that? Did we increase the ranger line?
What?
I think we increased the ranger line from last year. I think that was one of the ones that I think we actually doubled it. It was 40, we went to 80.
No, that's the part-time. That's the police part-time.
Yeah.
That went to 80. The ranger line, I believe, was 40 and stayed at 40.
Yeah. So
that's...
We do, during the winter we don't use it at all, but we do have May and June within the fiscal year, so to the extent that they will be required, they'll be logically spending. So it's concerning that this is over budget already in 2 months. And, I think it's, we don't want to go through the same thing we went through last time. So I don't know what the plan is. Obviously,
Well, have you had conversations with our resident state trooper that's in charge of the budget?
Yeah, and I think it was deemed as necessary to deal with Soundview, but there's no COVID anymore for the justification, and so, to me, there's not too much to go on to say that it's justified just to blow the budget.
Has his answer been satisfactory to you?
I think it needs further explanation because the budget, and the scheduling is made, and the time is paid, so I think we need to dig into it.
So worth having him at the next meeting?
Mm-hmm.
You would be
Yes.
helpful, yeah.
Okay.
And where can we make it up?
Well, again, the ranger thing is just completely out of whack. And somebody scheduled these people to work and paid zero attention to the budget.
Yeah.
I mean,
Let me ask the question whether, I don't particularly want to put him on the spot before a whole public board meeting, whether whoever is our police specialist, or you and Andy, Dave, might want to meet with him, privately, and more casually, or under less of a glaring light, and just try to get an understanding of what's going on.
That's probably an advisable way to approach it, because we've got police invoices, which is another factor that we've talked about for 2 months now, right? And so, again, resident state troopers have strengths and weaknesses, and they are administrative as much as anything else. And you have folks who come out of a non-administrative background that may not have, the benefit of that experience. But the police overages for the last kind of 18 months have been very significant. So,
And I don't mean to imply that there's anything amiss.
No.
I just want to understand why.
Yeah.
If there's a good reason or such a good reason.
And if there's a good reason, that's fine.
Exactly.
If there's not,
If you make a decision to do that, then you have to have a back door to say how is it going to be staying within your budget on the whole.
We first have to just understand what the issues are, what the facts are.
Or, I guess the other thing I would like as a member of the Board of Finance is, obviously, should have been recognized very early in the year. We are 3 months a year. The resident trooper managing the budget should have known in August and probably should have been here letting us know we've got a problem, instead of us finding out when we get our financials every month that there's a problem.
Right.
Throw the flag up.
well,
Right.
you also, for accounting purposes,
I know
it's a month.
There's
It's
a
month.
month and a
trail,
half or
but
two
still,
delay.
yeah.
But our August, it was already over budget
Right.
by 13,000
Right.
in August.
Which we knew mid-September.
Right.
And he should have been made aware of, I'm sure he was by Nicole.
In mid-September at least.
At that point.
Yeah.
So, and now we're up
And
from
we're in
that.
October.
That is only for labor, right, Tim? It doesn't include having 3 vehicles with rangers' names on it and all that belongs?
No, it's just their standard, and there's not much overtime. It's pretty much COVID straight time.
So that might get reimbursed too, potentially.
I don't think there's much COVID reimbursement at this point.
All right. Well, if there is or there isn't, a conversation is warranted to be.
Yeah, we could all huddle, the specialists and you and I, and we could.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Has there been a work interaction with our finance department and our resident state trooper? Are they on speaking terms? No, it begs the question.
The resident trooper and whom?
Nicole, our finance
Oh,
director.
I think there's dialogue, yeah.
I mean, do they come together with a piece of paper and sit down and go over things, or is somebody just sending an email and not following up?
I can't answer that.
Well, I think maybe it needs some coaching.
Maybe, but it's a conversation first. Let's figure out what the deal is.
I'd also, go ahead.
I'm just looking at the budget, and I might have the wrong account, but 205, police wages, overtime, we've budgeted $80,220. Is that the right account?
No, you're parking enforcement's the one.
But,
But
That is the right amount for that line.
For that line. but not for,
And
That's the
that's-
right budget amount for that line item.
that's
We're talking
50
about a different line item.
Well, we're
Well,
talking about.
that's why I just want to check, because that shows 64% still, available. Which one is it?
Parking enforcement and ranger.
Parking enforcement and rangers and,
Doesn't say
okay,
rangers
so
on
that's
here.
at $13,281 in deficit right now.
Right.
And then, there's obviously communications going in for the overage to Nicole because she included that. It's just a question of,
Well,
she
she
didn't put
noted it.
enough money.
She noted it in the summary, but
Yes,
what
that's
there was,
correct. I'm just looking at when we get the location report. But overall, with the wages and stuff for the police department, we're not over budget altogether.
we're early in the year, so.
Yeah, but, checking.
We've also, heard you say several times that the rangers aren't used during the year, but I think they must be being used during the year. So maybe when you guys have that conversation, we need to be clear on when the rangers are being used, because that might be part of the problem too. We're assuming when we set the budget that they're only being used for a few months, but they're actually being used much longer. They're not being used anymore at Town Hall, though, for COVID reasons, right?
We have a different
Right, it's-
line for this.
Yeah, we
Okay,
saw
good.
that in here too.
So it's dormant this time of the year, but if it's already over, that means come
There's no room.
May
Yeah,
and June.
May and June, we're gonna be
Yeah.
at
Oh,
more
wait,
hours.
or earlier, like if he sees fit to have them start earlier. I mean, people are down there before Memorial Day. So if he puts them on in April, we're really going to be in a problem again.
That's
So,
Already are.
I don't
we are in
know
a
what we're going to
It's
do
already
about
town
this.
meeting.
That's right.
So do we need to give him maybe a new budget and go to town meeting and say, this is
Well-
all you got? Or are we just going to wait till?
I think we have to have the conversation and pro forma what needs there will be for the balance of the year, and then balance that against other lines and, try to freeze it as much as possible, because
Okay.
it's already over.
Or not. I mean, there may be needs that are justifiable, so there you
Right.
go. So a conversation is the right way to start.
Yeah.
We maybe need to change the budget.
Yeah.
I also had a question about the Storm Henri, $9,939 for bags of ice not used, destroyed, which I think we all saw pictures of. And we don't know if that's going to be reimbursed. I feel as though that was really poorly, some miscommunication happened there, and we can't be spending $10,000 of taxpayers' money on ice that just sits in the parking lot after a storm. Like, people
Well-
should have known that that was there, if it was available, if we thought that was what people would need, then it needed to be told, but,
And when Dave has to make preparations before the storm hits, obviously, it was billed as a Category 1, and he made the decision to get this ice in case the thing knocked power out and we're out for 7 to 10 days and all that stuff. FEMA does cover it. It didn't happen. I think we were all surprised that it was just a no event. So we looked for other ways to dispose of the ice, to whatever source, charity or anything else.
but that's the part, I'm not upset that it was ordered, because obviously we might have really actually needed it, that was.
We have Mr. Roberge right here, so he can,
Yeah.
he can.
He'll hear me, it's
Oh.
okay, but I do think that,
No, I'd like because
As
you're
soon as
saying
the storm
that it's
was
mismanagement. We have Dave Roberge here who made the decision. If you'd like to hear from him why he made the
Hold on,
decision.
can I finish?
Yeah.
So I would just I would have liked to have seen that as soon as the storm was over, for there to be a giant PSA that says, we have $10,000 worth of ice at the senior center, please come and get it.
We put it out on the web and
I
stuff.
received it a couple of times.
Dave can address that.
I did not.
I did.
So I'm just saying, if I didn't get it, maybe other people didn't get it. But it would have been nice to know. I mean, it was in the middle of the summer. I'm sure people did stuff where they could have used ice. So I'm not suggesting he made the incorrect decision by ordering it. We might have really needed it. It was the aftermath of it sitting there in a refrigerated truck
Yeah,
for
and
weeks.
you got to be careful, because if somebody got sick from the ice, that's why you can't give it to the big Y or to anyone else, because it's a chain of custody, what's in it. So you know, we did say it's available, people can go get it, and I don't know how much was picked up, but, you know.
It's a lot of ice.
Not much,
I think we're
$10,000
fine,
worth.
Dave. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. Unless, Anna, do you want Dave to?
No, I
answer
just
more
said that I think he made the
Yeah.
right decision by ordering it.
I'd like the opportunity to speak, if you don't mind. As everybody was aware, there was that storm was coming. The forecasting was just as severe as what everybody at this table saw. The state of Connecticut received a pre-disaster declaration from the federal government in anticipation of the storm. Based upon that, we pre-purchased 10,000 pounds of ice for $5,300, and I rented a refrigerated trailer also. Because of the pre-declaration, we are able to submit reimbursement for those dollar items under Category B, Emergency Protective Measures. So it wasn't spending the town's funds thinking that maybe we're going to get reimbursed. The fact that we had the pre-disaster declaration for those emergency protective measures covering shelter and evacuation, which the ice would fall under both. After the storm cleared, I reached out to the state of Connecticut Department of Emergency Management, the state of Rhode Island Emergency Preparedness, the American Red Cross, and several contacts that I knew had boots on the ground down in New Orleans. None of those organizations were interested in the ice. Based upon that, we also reached out to the local fishing industry, food kitchens up in Hartford, and the one or two comments is, yes, but I have no way of getting it, and I have no funding available to take the trailer. Subsequently, we turned around, we publicized it in the local platforms that ice is available at the senior center. And based upon that, a pallet and a half, give or take, was taken.
Okay.
The rest of it, we had Public Works get rid of it. I was unable to bring it back to the supplier due to USDA requirements. So we did the best we can with what we had. But we do anticipate being reimbursed because of emergency protective measures. It was not a total
And if it
waste.
doesn't happen, it happened for a good reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay?
Well,
All right. Anything else on financial reports that is addressable here without Nicole? Okay. Old business. Police invoices, $14,300. Tim?
Well, the board discussed this at the last meeting, and I think that we made motions with the expectation that would enable the invoices to be paid. On the 24th of September, Nicole sent a memo saying that on the vote taken, the motion was not specific enough for me to pay the invoices. There's no fiscal year indicated, 21 versus 22. There's not enough budget in the police, assessment, capital, either fiscal year to cover the expenses. No mention of being additional appropriation or use of surplus to the general fund. Although I tried to call the meeting, they put all call-ins on mute, therefore I could not participate. I would recommend that the Board of Finance put it on the agenda for the 19th. So
To give her specific direction?
Then
So if there is, because these guys have been waiting on payment for a long time. So Tim, if you have.
I have a reply memo, if I can read that.
If you'd like, but I mean, this we've already talked about, and I think we're all in agreement that it needs to be paid. And so if Nicole, for her reasons, needs something more specific from the Board of Finance, if you have the wording of a motion, I think we can truncate the process.
I did send her a memo saying that we talked about it, and so I said, concerning your bullet points, I think the motion plus my elaboration, which is above this, provide sufficient specifics to enable payment. The fiscal year was intentionally vague because I need your opinion about appropriating to the carryover line or to the capital line. Obviously, there are not enough funds in the budget to pay the invoices. That's why the appropriation was approved. I believe the motion to approve 14.3 from the general fund clearly indicates this is a Board of Finance appropriation from the town surplus. I say AEP in Old Saybrook is not a big company and is eagerly awaiting the payment of these invoices.
What do we need to do?
I mean, I just pulled the motion up. I made the motion and Matt seconded it, and it was to approve 14.3 from the general fund to be used for accessory.
Yeah.
Did we need to, I mean, I know the bill was from last year.
We don't have to have specific line items
Yeah,
for finance
I
to
think
pay a bill.
I think it's most unfortunate that this company's had to suffer for a whole month.
Right.
And that the instruction in my memo should have been adequate. And I said, please let me know if and when this transaction can be concluded.
I will entertain a motion to direct the finance director to pay the bill for $14,300 for the vendor that you will describe. Anybody?
I'll make the motion since I made it last time.
Within
This week.
5 days.
This week.
Whatever the next one of the next.
And
Is there a second?
For instructions of where to take it.
So Andy made the motion. Is there a second?
Yes.
God damn it.
Aye.
Nitpicking.
Me. Second.
Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, I'm just confused, Kim. Can you articulate, or maybe if I didn't hear it, repeat more specifically what's Nicole's problem with the existing resolution?
Did you not get the email?
I don't know.
It's a Picayune email. Tim, read it again, please.
Her thing,
Yes.
she looked at the record of votes because she wasn't here, which she should be here. And a vote was taken for police invoices totaling 14.3. The motion was not specific enough for me to pay the invoices. There's no fiscal year indicated.
You should be able to.
There's not enough budget.
I don't.
So why would we make it?
So we're saying it's the current fiscal year, right? We're taking it out of the general.
I don't think we can go back and spend money from last year's budget that's been closed out.
That's why we had to
It has
vote
to
on
come it's an over expenditure that's under $20,000.
Maybe she just wasn't clear on that.
Well, I thought we were pretty clear.
Okay.
I mean, it was come from the general fund.
I know.
Which is where,
But maybe she wanted to make sure we knew that that meant we were paying, because there was some confusion, there was a little bit of
And
confusion.
I wasn't
on
here.
this.
I sent her this email on the 28th. I didn't read the whole thing. I can if you...
No, I think, was that the one we got? Because I read through it. Maybe she was just confused. I thought she was,
Well, she could have come to me and asked if there was...
I totally agree with that. I don't
Yeah,
think
I'm-
we need to be.
I'm really irritated that this company has had to wait a whole month to get paid.
I mean, this is, to be honest, I feel like we already approved it. I think it just,
Well,
I mean.
Well, she doesn't think we did.
Are we supposed to?
Nicole does not think we did, so we're going to underscore it tonight.
I don't think we
So-
need to say she has to, I mean.
It needs to be paid in a week,
Right,
period.
but I think if we can just say it's this year's general fund to fund
it
an
ha-
expense
to my
from
knowledge, it
last
has to be this
year.
year's general fund.
It-
You can't go
You
back.
can't go back. So
It's already
maybe
been,
that's
the
what
audit
she
has
just needs
begun
to be
and has ended.
made clear on.
Yeah.
I think she just wants to make sure that everything's,
No.
Well, I disagree with that, but the motion is on the table
Yeah.
to pay it within this week.
Yep.
It's been seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Wage and salary survey contract.
we have been charged with getting a wage and salary survey and to make progress to hire a human resource consultant. In the carryover, there is an accumulation of about $6,000 for the wage and salary survey, and there's $20,000 for the HR consultant. We went through a process to identify a wage and salary outfit, and we have engaged one. I think we reported it, it's Human Resource Consulting Group, out of, I think it's Seymour, Connecticut, and they have begun to do their work. They worked during the fourth quarter here to get the job done. It's based on a unit cost of so much per employee, and we counted the noses and came up with 9,450, but with other factors, I think it would be wise to round it up to 12,000, which means 2,550 more, just to be safe in case something comes along that was not anticipated. So the amount of money, 6,000 off the 12 would leave a deficit of 6,000. I think we knew that 6,000 would not be enough if it were broken out in a way that 6,000 versus 20,000. In the carryover, it says, I think it says survey, I forget the exact wording, but it's sort of a nebulous term. It doesn't say wage and salary survey and resources. It says, I'd have to know what the actual wording is. So what will happen is the company comes in, it interviews the employees, it sees what the current job description is, it talks with supervisors, it talks with the incumbents, and comes up with looking at the job descriptions, 30 changes that should be recommended, and ultimately speaks with the supervisors about how the job description would be, and does surveys among peer towns and so forth, and sees where the market is, because I think the Randy Frake work goes back a number of years and probably needs an update. So the point tonight would be whether the Board of Finance would approve an additional 6,000 to give us a total of 12. The selectmen last night voted on the measure to recommend it. It was 2-1. Selectman Nozel was not in favor of it. And so inasmuch as this is moving along, we'd like to complete this. Some of these firms get busy in the first quarter, and so we'd like to get this completed in the fourth quarter. There's been conversation that the human resource position should be filled before we do the wage and salary survey. I think they're separate and distinct tasks. And as a matter of fact, the Council of Governments had a meeting this morning, and I brought up the topic that would the COG think about engaging either hire or have a relationship with an individual or a company to do HR stuff for the member towns. Now, a town such as Middletown might have their own professional, and that wouldn't be necessary for them, but a lot of these smaller towns, and a lot of the selectmen said, yeah, we use our lawyer, we do, just like O-Line, we're not doing a very good job handling the HR part of it. I think that's a second assignment, and the COG thought that might be interesting. There might even be some COVID money that could come to help out initially, wouldn't be ongoing, but just to get the thing rolling. So that's still an open item. But I think one is not dependent on the other. And we have talked about updating the job descriptions and the pay scales and so forth. We're coming up to budget season. It would be helpful to know where things should be. So that's a brief.
Tim, I'm only seeing $5,000 in carryover.
Well, the 21,000 includes 1,000. There's a $21,000
in the current year budget. All right.
And that's 20 for the one thing and 1 for the other thing.
Okay. All right.
There's
So that adds up.
1,000, and 3,000.
Right.
26 in total, yeah.
Oh.
21 plus what?
Was there any discussion that the River Cog would put this on their agenda for their next meeting?
Yes.
Okay, so next meeting, which is when, 3 weeks? or whatever?
No, this was the executive committee, so it's going to be next week.
Okay, good, even better.
And it's not that this is going to happen.
No, but
But at least we'll have a,
at least it's making it to
No,
the agenda.
But if we've got a part-time person that's shared by Chester and Essex and
Yeah.
Lyme or whatever,
Yeah, kill all of them.
that's a thought, yeah.
So there's some sense of timing on this, that's all I'm getting at. That's,
Well,
we're working on it.
If we can get the cog behind it,
Yeah.
we canvassed CCM, we canvassed 3 or 4 towns, and we got responses that were, well, we use a lawyer, or we do it in-house. There wasn't a lot of good, nobody said this company or this person is really sharp in HR, and we say, think about this person. So I think if we could give a real assignment to a person or a firm, it would be worth their while.
Okay.
It's hard to say, in a line, how much time could we devote or offer a person? Because, maybe Park and Rec, they might need someone to hire the staff in the spring and outsource them in the fall. But then some of this stuff, if it gets to be legal, then a lawyer needs to do it. You can't say every little problem every big problem that requires a lawyer, that would probably be not something a consultant or a person in HR would do.
But HR could do some of the training, such as everybody has to do a sexual harassment, things that we find petty but are required. It'd be nice to know if we can start making those things happen sooner than later,
That's right.
even if we don't have an HR person.
Yeah. And it has been unfair to the finance department because they are stuck with it because nobody else does it.
Okay.
Well, they're
Gotta
onboarding and they're offboarding folks and that sort of thing. So near term though.
we need a motion for an additional $6,000.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, what did you say was the timing of their completing the study, Tim?
They have started the study. We gave them a deposit from carryover money, and so they're moving forward, and so they will hopefully wrap this up by the end of the year.
At the end of this calendar year?
Yeah.
Okay, and so they've started something that we think is going to cost more than we already have budgeted, and another $6,000 to fix it.
I think that provides a buffer, which I feel comfortable having, and if we don't need it, we certainly won't use it, but if there are other aspects that they say, gee, we at least have a little leeway.
I have a question. Do we have a contract with them?
Do I have a what?
A contract. Did we sign a contract? So you know exactly how much it's going to cost. So what's
No. It's based on the number of employees times two things that there can be. There's 2 aspects that constitute the charge, and you do the math, and it's about $9,500. But if there are, say, we do another job description that I didn't count on or something, I just think we need to have a buffer, or if they say there's another thing you might consider, rather than try to come back and do something, I think this.
So we got $6,000, which we budgeted for. Sign the contract. It's kind of a piecemeal, right?
Right now it's $9,500.
$9,500 plus a buffer of $2,500.
Yeah. And it's based on a unit price, so if we add more units, then it's going to be more expense.
Okay.
Why would we add more units?
Well, if you want to do a new position, you're thinking about a new position, or if there are some part-timers that you want to tone up some of that stuff, then they would do that for you.
Is this something an HR person could do?
No, this company's.
A salary survey?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that HR...
Well, this
salary survey is,
I understand, but like, on one-off, if we don't,
Anna,
it's only 3 months, so I feel like if you don't know in the next 3 months if you're going to be hiring someone or need someone, I'm a little confused about the buffer part of it. I get that it costs $9,500.
$2,500?
That's fine. I'm just asking the question. I don't really understand how
Yeah.
$2,500 is a lot of money compared to the budget of $9,500.
Yeah.
So how would we be needing that many more
Well-
positions potentially
This is a human,
if it's only 3 months?
this is a human resource company, it's called Human Resource
Yeah, it is.
Consulting Group. So I think as they get
You
it,
mentioned when you gave us the paperwork the last time that they could actually do HR consulting, so.
yeah,
Andy, do you have something to say?
Well, it just, I hear what you're saying about the overage, but I believe as a Board of Finance for this line item, we can only vote on it once. So if we say, all right, it's gonna be 10 grand, and then it ends up being 10,500, we can't vote on it, add the $500, that 500, I think, would have to go to town meeting.
It's just surprising to me just because it's not that we want a buffer, it's just that the buffer compared to the budget is so
Yeah.
big.
I have
I'm just confused
20%.
by
I
that
have
it's
a 12-year-old daughter that I'd
20%.
like to get home to, so I appreciate that very much.
I mean, I have kids
So,
too,
yeah.
but this is my
I know
job
you do.
tonight.
Yeah.
is
Yep,
this.
sounds good.
So I'm okay with asking
Let's have an
questions.
order of magnitude though, please. And I know it's political season, so
That's
I
not what I'm
appreciate
worried
that.
about right now.
Okay.
I guess
So,
I'll
at any
also
rate,
say that I understand that, I think in particular Tim, the town's not gonna spend the money just to spend it.
right, correct.
It's gonna return to surplus if it's $9,600, if it's $10,100.
Okay, well, we
The
can go ahead
balance
and
goes
make a
back to
motion.
surplus, it's not gonna go away.
I feel like my question.
I feel confident in
That's fine,
that.
we can move on.
Yeah, sounds good.
I'd like to make
Okay.
a motion for the additional $6,000 to be applied to the wage and salary survey contract, making it a total of 12.
yes.
Is there a second?
Sorry,
Okay, any further discussion? Please no, but that's just commentary. Okay, none? All in favor, please say aye.
aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay? Noted. Okay, new business, Center Beach Avenue repaving.
I'll summarize it quickly and Ed can fill in the color here, but Center Beach Avenue, this summer, Connecticut Water installed a new water main down most of the length of it. So they went on one half and dug it up, put the pipe in, and paved it with a temporary filling, like the dentist. So they said we would rather not pave it. You can get a better paving price, and you can do it when you want. We'll give you $75,000 to do it. And Mr. Dante priced it out and said that's inadequate. And so we went back with a $100,000 request, and they agreed to pay us that, which they did. Ed has asked the contractor for the price to do the whole road, and the contractor responded, it's $145,000. So for a net 45, we can pave the whole thing, which is even longer than the trench. We don't want to leave it as it is because the temporary patch versus the old road are not compatible, and it'll start breaking up and being a mess. So Ed is very eager to move this job to before Memorial Day and get it done. The road improvement fund should, with the paving of Mile Creek at an amount less than what it was forecast to be, the road improvement will probably come in with a balance of about $530,000 instead of a couple hundred less, because the job came in a couple hundred less on Mile Creek than was budgeted. So if we use the road improvement fund, there should be no sweat to get the 45 out of that road improvement. If there's any reason to make an adjustment, it could be done at budget time. But since we are doing much better in that account, it doesn't appear that that would be the case. So it seems to be a win. We got pretty good money from Connecticut Water. We can get this thing done before the next season. It'll be a brand new road from 156 to Garvin Land.
It's a yellow brick road.
Are you gonna?
Okay.
Okay, so I hear a recusal coming up. Yeah.
I think and if you want to elaborate any more.
Yeah. Once again, when they went down through there, the way they'd have to dig the pipe out the foot from the road, well, the heavy equipment cracked the rest of the road quite severely because that road was only oil and stone and then chip sealed. Was it in the budget? No, I've looked at that area and I'm holding off probably for another 4 to 5 years before we have to do anything in there. This road now is bad. There's another 300 feet that they did not disturb, is why I gave them the fluctuation of we'll pay the 44 something. But when it, like Tim said, they came to 75, and I said, no, that's not enough. So this road now again is going to be completely rebuilt. It's got to be pulverized. I know everybody asks it, all we do is pulverize. So let me explain why we have to do this. I've been to several courses. You have to have a good base underneath your road, or your road's going to fall apart in 5 years. That's one problem. The other problem is driveways and runoff into people's lawns. You can overlay a lot of roads. Are you going to get 15 years out of it? No, you'll be lucky to get 5. But now we're going in and we have to pave aprons. Now the aprons are higher than the driveway, and the people are getting water. And an apron is anywhere from $800 to $1,000 to do an apron. And all you're going to have is complaints like we did when we chip sealed. That's why when I come back every year and we start doing roads, it's actually most of our reconstruction, which now we're finally going to start seeing a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. This town and board has followed me very nicely, and we've gotten a lot done. I mean, our roads are top notch.
So this is a fair price.
That's fair price. We figure it out. If they
time to do it or no?
April, I'd like to get it scheduled for April, so I can schedule it now, so that people don't have to go through all the summer running up and down that road, because then it would have to be done after Memorial Day.
Okay, so Andy and Andrew. No.
You know, Tim's talking about money out of the road improvement fund.
Mm-hmm.
And that there's leftover from Mile Creek, or what you anticipate a Mile Creek to be. What else is scheduled for this fiscal year in terms of roads?
This year, there's nothing else scheduled.
Is it Andy's road?
No, can't. That's private.
I don't look good in pinstripes. I'd be going to jail.
Neither do I. There was another question. How is the price of oil going to impact the pricing? I mean, can you lock that price in?
That price is locked in to
145 right now. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
I'm a little confused. You're talking about the contractor to pave this road. Which contractor is paving the road?
It will be Pastriak.
The guy who's doing Mile Creek?
Just did Mile Creek.
Okay.
Here's why.
Separate job, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but here's why we've been lucky with Pastriak. Here's why we've been lucky with Pastriak. Every year he comes back with low state blacktop price, low state milling price, and low state grinding price.
Yeah.
So this is why and the thing is about him, and we've got roads that we did 12 years ago that still look like the day he put them down.
Yeah. So bid policy, absolutely get 3 bids, but there is an exception.
Okay,
if you have a
curious
reason.
how that works.
Yeah.
Okay.
To not
To not get bid because he's low state price, and he gives us complete layout forms printed that I give to Nicole every year that shows the differences.
That, so thank you.
Yep.
And nice job on Mile Creek.
Mile Creek's
Yes.
nice.
Yeah.
That's terrific.
Yeah.
Some speed traps.
He has, right away. He told them. They did just pass their house, and then he came by and said, shoot, I want you to
Careful,
know
gotta
there's
run
speed
over
traps
there
there.
After it was done, or the day it was done.
Did they do Ben Franklin Road X number of years ago? Because that's still in great shape.
No, Anton did them fine.
Did they?
So,
Okay.
remember I filled that?
Yeah.
Filled it?
Yeah, no, they did
And
a
how many
great
years
job.
there's not a crack in that road?
No, and I don't. 10 years?
Oh,
Nine?
it's been 10 days.
Okay, thank you. I didn't mean to drag it out. Thank you.
If the board would like, I think if a motion is in order, it would be 45,000 to be withdrawn from the road improvement fund number 3, to be used in.
How many funds do you have, Is that
well, I guess we'd take the money was deposited, so it would be 100,000 that was the Connecticut water money, and another 45,000 from the fund, because the 100 went in. So
So the 100 went into Fund 3 or no?
Yeah, it's in the road improvement fund.
Okay, so yeah, the motion would be to expend from Fund 3,
Withdraw
145, right?
Right.
It's not just for the
And Ed, that's
That's it, it's locked in. I'll call them tomorrow, tell them to schedule it for April, and that's the price.
Okay? So entertain a motion to expend $145,000 for Center Beach Avenue, right? Out of
Yep.
Fund 3.
Fund 3, yep.
Put it in the minutes.
We heard you
okay?
loud and clear.
Yep.
Road improvement fund.
Okay,
Yep.
is there a second? Jude?
I am,
Yep.
yes.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Move to a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Thank you.
Okay.
Yep.
You know,
Appreciate it.
this is a home run, we got a $145,000 road done for 45 grand.
Great.
Thanks.
Yep, thank you.
Good
Right.
job.
So Tim, we have a brief item on Park and Rec, just as a informative item. And then there is one new business item that we've got Old Line EMS here, Tom Brzezinski, who has a need that we want to discuss, right?
Bicycle.
And so, and Jane as well? Yep. So, you're not going to say? Okay, so Tom's speaking. So let's talk just briefly about the Park and Rec, Tim, if you want to just raise it, because it's not anything that we need to deal with, right?
Okay, well, last night the Board of Selectmen listened to a presentation by the Park and Rec Commission, and the proposal is to have a part-time assistant Park and Rec director to assist Don Bugby. He pointed out that Lyme really does not have a Park and Rec function anymore, and that function has to be covered by Don. So in addition to our town's population, you'd add Lyme's population, so it's a bigger group of kids. There was also discussion about charging an administrative fee for the fact that Don and our accounting area does all the work on these kinds of programs, and then even the John Woods Park itself and the senior center, we send a bill and they pay it, but they don't do the work. So there's going to be a discussion about that. So it was just an opportunity to advise the selectmen and the Board of Finance that they'll be coming forward with a specific proposal to have a part-time director assisting Don. There would be an effort to perhaps come up with new programs that would be fee-based and perhaps somewhat self-supporting that the community might like, as well as doing all that we do. So that there might be also enhancing the way we do our registrations with computer improvements, that have credit cards and more up-to-date stuff there. And it's basically Don that gets up and opens the buildings and so forth and so on. So he has his down times, but he has his busy times. So I'm sure it would be somewhat of a seasonal need. Spring and summer and fall would be busy, and maybe the winter's less so. But you might have basketball. I don't know just what all goes on, but
maybe offset by a conversation with Lyme. Hey, you guys got to be share too, right?
Yeah.
A little bit, something like that. So this is just a preview, right? So any questions? Yeah. You good?
What timing? I mean, is this something that
spring
planning for the next budget, or?
I think if he got his way, he'd probably have the resource available, say like in April,
So it is outside of this budget that we've already passed, yeah.
Right, but I think we have suggested to Don Bugby repeatedly that he needs to hire additional help so he is not spread so thin, and we shouldn't have to farm some of these tasks out. So Without any particulars, I support investigating,
Yeah.
firing,
Yeah.
or hiring someone.
It would have been nice if they'd come to us to talk about this, because I think that we actually gave him in his budget money for a part-time person already this year. It's small, but it's there.
Still.
And we also had extra money in there to hire someone just to open and close the parks, which was a ridiculous job, but if somebody wanted it, we could. But I think it was a couple $1,000s. So between those two allocations, he might actually be covered for April to
Yeah.
July.
Yeah.
So,
And
so
we
Bob
could
Dunn.
put in a full job for the actual, so maybe they could look into that with you. We could talk to you about it.
They've done, Park and Rec has done a lot of work, and so Bob Dunn was here with a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah,
And it's very preliminary at this point.
yeah, well, I'm just saying,
And
when
so-
they come to us for this
Yeah.
allocation, they should know that there is money already there for this exact purpose, because he and I
We've had
talked
it for years.
Right.
a
We've-
lot
in
about
favor
this.
of it.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they went to the board first.
That's what I mean, it's
Yep.
in here, like, if he
Yeah.
wants it from April on, I think it could be covered.
Yeah, I don't
Well,
think definition.
I don't think it's enough.
Okay.
Probably not. So at any rate,
Combine that
come
with
kind of
Lyme.
February, right?
Well, that's what I mean, if you did Lyme and this, you
Yeah.
might be able to eat
So-
through
Yeah.
and get that person.
I totally agree.
Garvin,
I'd just like to remind everyone also that he had vacation that he had to turn in for nothing because he was too busy.
Right.
That he couldn't make time supposedly to have a vacation. So he did lose some weeks.
Part of that was because he didn't use the $5,000 or $6,000 we gave
We already
him
gave it.
to hire
like for
somebody
5
to
years.
help him, for 5 years, to help him in the summer, so he could take vacation.
Yeah,
We, specifically for that reason,
Right.
put extra money in the budget for many years.
yeah.
So,
I'm glad he's catching up.
and we also paid him quite a bit of that accrued time
Yeah.
as
But
well. He did leave stuff on the table, but
Yep.
Anna's question was, hey, it would be nice if these guys, they were here, they were prepared, but this is very preliminary.
Yeah,
So what I'd
so
like to
I'm
do
just saying,
is
know that it's already,
Right,
Yeah.
we've had the
Yeah,
discussion.
we've had that, but they had all sorts of thinking that's already gone into it. So in February, we will revisit it, just
Right?
not
And
tonight.
it should be hand in glove, it should take off from when he needs it.
Yeah,
Not-
yeah.
We won't have to wait 3 or 4 months.
Right, exactly. In December, we're not gonna have to, it's not urgent. All right, so I would entertain a motion to add, Old Line EMS to the new business budget.
so moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Tom?
I'm coming today due to, and I think this was brought up once in the past, the cabinetry and kitchen cabinets at the Cross Lane Fire
You want to
Station.
sit or no? It's fine. Whatever you're comfortable with.
So
It's not a star chamber too much.
So the kitchen cabinets, I think everybody knows, are in desperate need of replacing. They're 41 years old. They were installed in the 80s. The laminate's peeling, the doors don't close, the doors aren't square anymore. What brought this to a head, which is why I'm here today, is the fact that we had a sewage line clog, and the water was backed up into the kitchen through the apparatus floor bathroom. So needless to say, it came out from underneath the cabinets. So that's been addressed, and that's cleared now. I know there was some discussion about cleaning the cabinets, but really it seems more of a waste of money to me, and I think it's more pressing to have the cabinets replaced. I mean, we use it, the EMS daytime personnel use the kitchen on a daily basis. We rely on it for hurricanes and storms, for standbys. So it is used regularly. I have some pictures.
Is it laminate?
They're all laminate.
Is it pressboard laminate? Like
Yes, and you could see it.
1970s?
Tom, did you get insurance for these?
No, we didn't get insurance because it came through the bottom, and I think the only discussion was
I wouldn't.
underneath because came through the wall. It didn't come over the cabinet. I did talk to the chief, to the president of the fire department, and he's in agreement, they need to be replaced. And I mean, it's a public building. Don't mind the stuff on top of the cabinets, we pulled it out because of the sewage problem, that's why there's everything stacked up on top. We did get one estimate, from a kitchen place in New London, and, that estimate in the area, around $10,000 in removal of the old cabinetry is another $900. We do have, and this would be to utilize the same, it's basically the same layout. It's just replacing wood cabinets, it's replacing the countertops, putting in a new sink and faucet. And, we do have to move one gas line, which currently runs through cabinets. We should relocate it to a better place.
Excuse me, so the 10 grand includes installation?
Yes.
And then an additional 9 for the removal of the old?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the plumbing portion is
Right.
around $1,000.
Okay.
Gas and water.
Okay, so we're talking 12 grand.
So, yeah, so we're talking, my recommendation is, would be if the Board of Finance could consider, supporting this project, not to exceed $13,000.
So $1,000 contingency.
Yeah.
Okay?
Tim, we've got $43,000 in the Public Building Improvement Fund. That be an appropriate place?
I gather I'm not aware of any pending need that would use that money other than what we've heard tonight.
Everything Phil's got planned, I think we budgeted for. It's not out of that.
Check with them upstairs, but
Yeah.
I guess we could say
money thing.
from that fund, or if that's committed in some fashion
Fund 18.
from surplus.
It's,
Yeah, I mean, we're trying, nobody wants to
Well,
get around.
either or.
So, yes.
So,
I mean,
13,000, Fund
13,000
18.
from the Public Building Improvement Fund 18, for the Cross Lane Firehouse Kitchen.
Cabinets.
Cabinets.
Cabinets, because the refrigerator stinks.
Andy, do you
Before we
want?
vote on that, you just have one estimate, is that correct?
Yes, I'd send it, we'd send it out to 3. We'd put it out to 3. We would.
You want? These funds are already earmarked that we don't know about. It could default to surplus.
That's a good,
I'd be happy to amend it to, if,
or the general fund.
or the general fund
If those funds are-
surplus.
Yeah.
If there's not enough funding in the Public Building Improvement Fund.
I think it's time, we need to do this now, considering it's
Can't wait.
Second.
So Michelle, do you have that roughly, carefully?
Is it 18,000 from the building improvement?
13,000.
13,000
From building,
Public building improvement fund.
Fund
or
18.
General fund surplus.
and,
Hey, Dave, this is Nicole on the phone.
hey, Nicole,
Hi,
hey.
Nicole.
Yeah,
If you could just have it come out of the building fund, which is, I think, Fund 4, the Public Building Improvement Fund is a little bit more restrictive for what we can spend it on. So, that is not earmarked for anything, so it should be all set.
Missed that on the first page.
So put it on the public.
Building Improvement Fund, which is Fund 4,
how much is in there?
69,000.
Okay, fine.
There's plenty in there.
Thank you very much, Nicole.
Fund 4.
Fund 4, yep.
I missed that one.
Okay,
You were close.
was there a second from Anna or Jude?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, move to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you very much.
Who's the specialist for our ambulance?
I don't know, last year, switched up.
Changes every year.
Yeah, I will,
Make sure you do.
let you know, Jane, yeah, yep.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, approval of minutes. Many minutes. Michelle was kind enough to direct our way. Ancient history minutes, August 10th. Okay. I have no comments myself on any of the minutes, so I will entertain a motion
I have a
to
question.
approve, if I could
have a
before,
question.
yeah.
Okay.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes for the special meeting of August 10th, 2021.
Then we
Okay,
can discuss.
is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, discussion?
It says, Mr. Kelsey called the meeting to order at 5:35 and stated that 2 regular members are absent. And up here it says 3 are absent, so, this one, it says 3 members are absent, and here it says, it said there were 2 absent, so.
Is that the one that Andy
August
showed
10th.
up like a little bit
Very
late?
late, yeah.
No.
Wasn't this all on the phone?
This was on the phone.
This was on the
yeah.
phone, and I think I dialed in late.
Yeah.
Or
So-
I had trouble getting in.
That's
So you can't
exactly
be
what happened.
absent and present, so.
I might have gotten in late. but
He was
I had trouble
absent.
getting in.
I attended some of those, they said I was absent, but,
Yeah, I think that Adam, no, present in person, Adam, so that one's fine.
There was another telephone meeting, Andy.
It was on the phone.
I was here.
I had trouble
but
getting
I was
in.
on the phone.
But there was another one where you were late, so it may not have been this one.
No,
No,
it was another
it was
one,
this one.
it was another one that it was a physical meeting that I was late, and Matt was seated for me, and he remained
right.
seated for me. This one was on the phone. I
Because
believe it was on a Thursday.
I was
Yeah.
upstairs
No,
doing
this
the
is
meeting.
Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday, and you texted me on my phone and you said that
That's right, we had 2 people upstairs in
Yeah.
the American
Mary
Legion.
Jo and I were
I
upstairs.
would suggest doing a roll call. I mean, really, at the beginning, so that Michelle hears that.
I thought I did that.
There was a meeting that
We did it
I was
tonight,
not
but-
in at the beginning of the meeting. I joined it late,
Okay, yeah.
so.
And
Either absent or.
You need to
there's a
record
question,
that. Yeah.
I typically have done
That's all
that,
right, yeah.
I was.
but it's not recorded here, so.
Yeah, I did not get the notice of the meeting.
I want to cross,
Maybe where I am.
I'd like to see that Andrew Russell is not stated as absent. He contacted me through the first half hour of the meeting, trying to get in, and I was upstairs.
Yeah.
And then finally you were able to dial in, so you were in attendance for the vote.
Later,
And I think everyone was
on the phone.
Move you from absent to
tardy.
And I'd take out present in person because no one was present.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, Tim just dialed the phone, which was helpful. Okay. Any other comments on the minutes as noted, with the exception of that? All those in favor of approving the minutes as amended, say aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I abstained.
Abstain?
I wasn't
Yeah, I
at the meeting.
abstained also.
I wasn't here for one meeting, so I have to abstain on one.
Thank you. Okay.
So for this one, Ryder and Birnbaum abstained, not
Yes.
you, right?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Great.
Dave, this is Nicole again. I hate to interrupt, but can I just make a comment?
Yeah, of course.
For the police invoices, these have already been paid. We have not made this gentleman wait for his money. The thing I really needed you guys to say having to do with the 14.3 is the additional appropriation words per se, because the auditors go through during their audit and go to the minutes and compare the verbiage to see an additional appropriation was really made that I have made. So it's really a check for that. It was nothing about holding these invoices up at all. So I just wanted you to be aware of that.
Oh, thank you very much for that, because I think there was a misunderstanding about that. And so Nicole, we had a conversation about that, and we directed you to pay the invoice, by the end of this week. But if it's already paid, that's great. What do you need for audit purposes that would be different from what we've already discussed and had as motions?
I think from the discussion tonight, although you didn't really say additional appropriation, I'm all set with it now, and I think the auditors are as well. I did consult them before this meeting, and they said that they would be all set based on what they heard last week and this week as well, so, or last month and this month. So I'm good to go on that.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Okay, good news. That's all taken care of and behind us. So August 17th minutes.
This is a funny one because it looks to me like in September we approved the August 17th minutes, but then had a problem understanding the carryover.
Right, yeah.
So we didn't officially approve them pending some explanation about the carryovers. And that, I mean, I just read that from the minutes, not that my memory was any good. But my question is, have we gotten that explanation, or are we ready to approve it?
Well, I'll give everyone a couple of minutes to look at the minutes and see if they agree or disagree with the minutes.
Well, let me narrow the question. Would be, does anybody remember what the question was regarding the carryovers? And are the words, I assume that this version, Michelle, of the August 17th minutes is the original version. This hasn't been modified with any...
And I think, if I remember correctly, the question with the carryover had to do with the final number of the 1310049 as opposed to the number that we had worked out.
Oh, that rings a bell. That
They
had
didn't
done
match.
addition and it didn't.
Yep, it didn't match.
There was a discrepancy with the two numbers.
That's right.
13.
Thank you.
Okay.
So has that been reconciled?
I don't have the paperwork with me, otherwise I can show you exactly what it was, because I circled it.
Again.
Yeah.
No, I don't,
They did.
yeah, but we've done that already. It's getting,
Right, but now the question's being asked.
but that,
Somebody has to talk to Nicole and have her review the paragraph and do the addition.
it's just in the new business carryover paragraph, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
It had to do with that 1360, because I have it on this paperwork too.
Well,
Need
can
to
we,
look at this,
can we verify it with Nicole
Well,
after tonight?
well, let's table these minutes,
Yep.
and then I'll make a note, and I'll talk to Nicole tomorrow or email, and we'll figure out whether this is correct or not. Let's see. The second thing, 817 carryover. It's confirmation. Okay, so I will entertain a motion to table August 17th, 2021 minutes.
So moved.
Second?
Yep, second.
All those, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, thank you. Confirmation, okay. All right, great. So, next set of minutes, since we got 8 here. September 9th.
Just for discussion purposes, I'll make a motion to approve them.
Second? Anyone?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Yeah.
First, Andy just made a motion to approve them, but I want to know how he could have arrived at 5:25 if the meeting didn't start until 7:35.
Magic.
I think it was 5 o'clock,
Yeah, it
right?
was 5.
I get a good-
5:35.
This is why we discuss.
5:35. That's 7:35.
So you got to change that time to something.
No, I
It was
think
started at 5:15.
5:15,
Right.
I think.
It was.
Oh, the meeting started at
I started
5:15?
Yeah,
Oh,
I think,
okay.
It was a special meeting.
5:15.
so right.
oh, that's
I
right.
only looked here to figure out when we actually started. It's okay. It's probably just a leftover.
Yeah, that's right, it was 5:15 start, yep, and we finished at like 6.
I wasn't 2 hours early, I was 10 minutes late.
Didn't have to admit that.
On the next page, the second paragraph begins with Mr. Kelsey. The second line says which uses a computer, which referring to a human being. I'd rather change that to who uses a computer.
Very good,
I guess that's fair.
I like. Grammatical corrections, I always appreciate, I do.
TJ, where do you see that?
Oh,
It's the next page,
Got
yeah.
it. Thank you.
Okay. All right, any further discussion or changes? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Abstain.
Abstention, Mr. Garvin, thank you. Okay. September 21st. Get the ball rolling with a motion to approve. Anyone?
Garvin?
Garvin, second? Anyone?
Second.
Mr. Russell? All right. Any discussion or revisions?
I've got a question and a couple of comments. On the first paragraph of the second page, talking about the main property, the second sentence reads, since the use of the property will be open space, the owner has agreed to release the Open Space Commission, Town of Old Lyme, from the current residential restrictions on the property. I simply don't remember that issue. Does anybody remember what that's a reference to?
I don't remember that being stated either. Yeah, I mean, it was just general, right? 35 acres, 418 grand, but I was that being explicit.
Did that have to do with the road?
Yes, I think there was something about that.
There what?
No, but that was an agreement for the town to continue the obligation of those two lots to contribute.
No, but there was a specific deletion of a requirement as part of the P&S
Yes, I remember this.
Should we go back to the recording on that?
because it's more pertinent to building lots.
I don't mean now, but
Yeah,
I mean,
no.
should this be tabled so it can be reviewed?
I don't know that it's important enough to worry about it.
I think we should just delete it.
I mean, that's okay with me, because just on the face of it,
It doesn't.
we're gonna say what's going on here.
Not gonna change.
It raises more
What
questions
does that
than
have to do with the
answers.
Board of Finance?
Yeah.
More for the town attorneys to be
Right.
dotting the i's and crossing the
The
t's when
use
the
of this
property.
property will be open space. The
Oh, yeah.
owners also agreed to release the Open Space Commission, Town of Old Lyme, from the current residential restrictions on the property.
Just remove.
Yeah, if we're in agreement doing that. I think it may have been something a little bit different, but, you know, it's just, it's ancillary anyway. And the minutes could just read, discussion was held, you know, so,
Okay,
okay.
then my next question on the next page, Soundview Sidewalk possible appropriation. The paragraph that Mr. Griswold explained, and then for the next few sentences, is verbatim the same as sentences in the minutes of August 17th. And I just found that curious. And I don't know, you know, whether Tim, you know, read the same stuff again, or?
Well, may I ask then, because if we've got a question on the second page, and then we've got a question here as well, if we can just go back, we'll table these minutes as well, and
Review.
ask that they get reviewed audibly, and then figure out what.
That was just a carryover from the prior one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it may well have been that, but, you know.
Many times it just mentions like one sentence, and it doesn't give a reader any kind of context on it.
But that's okay. Because the minutes are what was actually said, so I understand, you know, the inclination to give it context, but if it wasn't said, it wasn't said. So if that's the case here, we'll review, you'll take a listen. And if it was just, hey, this is what happened, then that's what should be reflected in the minutes.
Okay.
Okay, two quickies. On the final page, American Recovery Plan Act, it's actually the American Rescue Plan. It's just changed recovery to rescue. And then the next paragraph, that's very transitive. The first line ends with the word merge. It should be merger. That's it.
So Michelle, if you can just check the actual recording.
DJ, that last one, what was that, under merger?
Oh, it's just the word merge. This is an R. That's,
Working out.
A merger?
Yeah, working out a merger.
Got it, thank you.
So without formality, if I get a motion to table these minutes as well?
I'd make a motion to table.
Is there a second? Gervin?
Wait, didn't we already have a motion to approve them?
That's without the formality of removing it. We can do that if you want, yeah.
I abstain.
Abstain? All those in favor of tabling the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, great, thank you. Okay, Selectmen's report.
Okay. First thing I want to talk about is MIRA, which is the trash to energy in Hartford. So our garbage goes from Lime to a transfer station in Essex. That's where MIRA takes over and it transports it to the South Meadows. Connecticut disposes of about 2.4 million tons of trash a year. This is MSW, you know, household stuff. The plant itself handles about 712,000 tons, so about 30%. This plant is going to stop operating in the not-too-distant future, meaning that that material has to go elsewhere. The other plants around Connecticut, Bridgeport, Preston, Lisbon, etc., would not have the capacity to accept that material, so it will have to be trucked out of state. And destinations would include Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, and if using a train, maybe South Carolina, Alabama.
Griswold Point.
Right. So, as this moves, the MIRA needs to convert from trash to energy to a transfer facility. I think good news for us is that the Essex transfer facility will remain, so our trash would still go there, but there would be disruptions because Hartford would likely not be the same. The company would need to make deals with trucking outfits, landfills, you name it. So they need to, at this point, plan what to do and then try to line up an income stream that will support it. There are 48 towns that have municipal, could we maybe shut that door?
I'll get it.
It'd be rocking and rolling out there.
Yep.
So there are 48 towns that use MIRA. They have 5 years, including Old Lyme. There are 5 years remaining in the 30-year commitment. Obviously, trash prices have increased already. I think we're doing $110 a ton. It used to be 55 and that sort of thing, but over the years. We do get recycling handled at no charge, so that is a big help. So what MIRA is exploring is to have the member towns decide whether, let me just back up. Each town has an opt-out possibility, so in March of every year, a town could exit MIRA and go elsewhere. The choices are not very wonderful at this point.
Tim,
So-
there's a reference to fee. You have to pay something to exercise that opt-out?
I think now, no. But what Mira is trying to do is to essentially line up a 5-year commitment, if possible, with towns, so that they know who's going to be in and the volumes would be substantially the same and so forth. So there's going to be a fork in the road where if a town is willing to get rid of the opt-out, they would then enjoy a reduction in the fee, the tonnage, the rate per ton. The first year it's forecast to be $6.30, and in year 5 it might be as much as $9. The short term, fiscal 23, they're thinking the range of the price would be $114 to $119. So from 110 base, that's up, but it's not crazy up. If somebody was not doing the opt-out, getting rid of the opt-out, it might be $140 to $146 a ton. So they're asking towns to say whether they would eliminate the opt-out, which would guarantee a better cash flow for the operation. So that's coming along. I think.
What control do we have over the rate? If we say we're not going to opt out, what guarantee do we have that they won't just raise the rates? Other than saying this is our projection, which is probably not built in.
I don't think there's a complete insulation from that. But if, I don't know where we would go. I mean, if we tried to go to one of these other plants, we probably wouldn't be welcome. I just don't know where you could go.
But that's a critical question for the lawyers to address in the contract. All they say here is that the amendment acknowledges that specific waste transportation, disposal, and transportation operating contracts to be awarded, acknowledges, and limits annual changes in the tip fee to the pass-through changes in the cost of these contracts, plus CPI. So that helps a little, right? But certainly, and this is, they're asking for a 5-year commitment or a longer commitment of 5 years?
5. I mean, that's the balance.
For the reduction.
That's the balance of
If you agree and you get the reduction, it's a 5-year commitment. Otherwise, it's kind of on your own.
Yeah.
Well, right now, we have a remaining 5 years in our contract today, so
Right.
they're not changing the term of that contract.
No.
We're only bound for 5 more years if we stay with this.
Right.
Well, if that's the case, then why wouldn't you say, yes, I'm in for 5 years
Of
and
course.
get the reduction?
Well, in any event, your
What's the
decision
other
is going to
option,
be
though?
different.
The other option is
is 30-year contract.
you keep an opt-out, but there'd be extra fees and higher tonnage rates associated.
Oh, so they would agree to tear up the existing contract. You would opt out of the remaining 5.
Well, I think when you opt out, you'd have to pay an exit fee. If you stayed for 2 years, you'd pay much higher per ton fees, and you'd pay a fee to leave.
And then you'd have to find a place for your
find out where to
garbage.
go.
Right.
At the end of the 5 years, we don't know if they're going to continue a contract?
Well, they'll probably continue to do this, but I think it's quite incredible that the state of Connecticut has not helped Mira and the whole solid waste disposal.
They don't even have a full board. They can't make a decision because they don't have a
So,
board.
And we're at the mercy of these remote sites. If Ohio said we're done, now the other ones are going to charge more probably. It's really bad.
I think it's time we compost. No, we're giving everybody 2 trash
That'd be
bins.
like 5% of our garbage, though.
no, it's actually quite a bit
It's
more.
quite a bit more. It's very heavy.
It might be, but most of it's everyone ordering Amazon.
Composting is currently...
All that stuff goes to the dump right now. It doesn't get recycled.
Composting 7%.
7% only? Right now. What we do right now is 7%.
Because we're not encouraging it.
Right.
And I'm not trying to be flip here, I'm just saying it might be a considerable percentage if we're
Didn't we have
supported.
like a trash committee when we were working on the trucks part end of it? Are we reinstating them to work on this? Because maybe there's a deal out there that like if we go with a different company, and do 10 years someplace else, that at least we'll know for the 5 years after this, it's not gonna be.
What are other towns
We don't have
doing?
another option.
That's a good thing to
48
Yeah.
towns.
Like, that's why the state wants to encourage all this regionalization, like, tell us what you're gonna do.
Right.
And now Mira is a state thing, and they're like,
Oh, gotcha. Gotcha.
Quasi-state.
I agree with that, to, you know, discuss with other members of Mira, what are they doing?
yeah.
And maybe with the Connecticut River Council of Governments.
Well, they're gonna do a poll, for the next meeting to see who's where and what people are leaning toward.
But also to Anna's point, rather than having you individually have to worry about this, you want to appoint 2 or 3 helpers to try to figure it out. It's a big deal.
We gotta figure
It's
this
gonna be
out.
short and long term.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And it's
But
not going
everyone's
away.
having to figure it out.
Yeah.
East Lyme, Old
Yeah,
Lyme.
well, that's why I mean,
Right, but
if
just
you assign
the
some
thinking
people to,
cap for
like,
all Lyme, I'm suggesting might be more than just one person.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like, and I have to say, the cyber insurance issue, you know, that was, people made a big deal about. KERMA is a bizarre organization. It is a state insurance company, right? So it's a cooperative. Over 300 public entities use it for property, for liability, and they used it for cyber. They made a business decision to eliminate cyber coverage. Everybody, Chester, Old Saybrook, East Lyme, us,
Fire districts.
they fire districts, school districts. They didn't make a recommendation of, hey, call Arch. You know, hey, they just said, we're not doing it anymore. And it is they made a good business decision because it's a huge risk, right? But they left everybody in the lurch. So, you know, it's kind of a similar situation where you don't hear it. This is all kind of an undercurrent, but it's a mess. And cyber risk is a real risk. It's our biggest risk for a business that we've got, and for most businesses, because of ransomware, but for us it's stealing people's, you know, information and that sort of thing. So it depends on what your business is. But for, you know, you can wire $1.5 million. West Hartford did that. They had somebody wire $1.5 million to
pay a ransom?
It never made the news. Yeah, no, it wasn't ransom. It was like Nigerian prince wanted, you know, one.
Oh, I always pay those guys.
Oh, yeah. So at any rate, there are true, you know, the idea of everyone's going to have a giant school district in New London County or something. That's one thing. These are real issues that we're dealing with, and Mira and cybersecurity are huge issues that are not Old Lyme's issues. They're much bigger than that.
And it's not just
I think what
finance.
is saying, and I'm seconding it, is to decide how Old Lyme is going to respond to this problem. Just suggesting to you, Tim, that you might want to appoint a couple of folks to help think it through.
Yeah.
Well, I think the COG is going to canvass all the towns, find out who's in, who's out. 'Cause some towns go elsewhere already, I don't think there's a lot of leeway to say, well, we'll go over here.
There's not a lot of capacity. Like Old Saybrook hooked up with Lisbon, I think, right?
No, I think actually Fortuna's on the board of Mira, so I don't imagine.
Oh, that's true. So it must have been East Lyme, but at any rate, yeah. So, but having an individual, like 2 or 3 folks here in Old Lyme, it's a regional thing, and so COG, that's what River COG is supposed to be all about, you know. Is these sorts of resources, just like HR. Because when you look at HR, Middletown, yes, they can have a full-time, you know, person and a junior person. But Chester, no. Old Lyme, probably half-time, you know. So what do we do with that sort of thing? And so we got to get some of these organizations a little less moribund than they have been on meaningful issues.
Yeah.
So it's great to have a planning resource, you know, at RiverCog, but that doesn't move the needle when you don't have any cyber insurance. So,
Okay, so that's just...
Let me just, in terms of timing, your point is well taken, Dave. This thing says, I don't know what the date of the memo was.
Well, they want to know it about a week, but that may not be possible.
We'd like to get your response. right? I know it was last Friday, this Friday, that's gonna be impossible.
Well, the COG is gonna have a meeting next week, so I don't think there's any reason to rush to do anything until we get that information. But, I don't think there's any wonderful options out there that would be beneficial.
But, no, to Anna and BJ's point, do we have time? First of all, do we want to address it individually as a town? That's one thing, right? And secondly, if we do we even have time for that? Because if they're looking for an answer, in 2 weeks, then it's probably not gonna happen, here. What's your view of timing of getting back to them in terms of what we'd like to do?
Well, I think if we get to the COG meeting, which should be about the middle of next week, we get some additional input from other towns. They've been thinking about it and see where the pendulum's going. Even Mira might be able to get a situation report and say, of the 48 towns, we've heard this, that, and the other thing.
But there's not a drop dead date
Yeah, there's no,
right now for us
I don't
to sign up for the 5 years.
Right, I'm like,
Right.
do we miss the boat? Do we miss the boat? And then,
Yeah.
where are we? We're forgetting about what COG is doing, what do we do with our trash?
It's important. It sounded to me more like we'd like to hear at the end of the week type of thing, but I don't think it says we must hear. So, I can call Tom Kirk, the president, because I used to be on that board and know him and, get some behind the scenes stuff, but, I think the fork in the road is either you drop the opt-out and have a lower rate for 5 years, and then who knows what happens in 5 years.
All right, start working on it.
Yeah, well, that sounds good, but
I know.
what are you gonna do? Well, it sounds wild down.
Keep informed.
It's a big hole.
Yeah. Okay, Soundview Sewers. The common infrastructure, which is the collection pipe that runs basically from Lime Shores to the pumping station on Portland, the pump station itself, and the force main pipe, which goes up Portland, makes a right and goes over to East Lyme. That project was bid, about 2-3 months ago, and the bids were astonishing, so they rejected them, broke it into 3 parts that I just mentioned, and new bids have surfaced. They have not been evaluated, and I think the total, if you take the low bid of all of them, which is not necessarily what might happen, oftentimes a low bid is not the best bid, but it would be around $14 million. I think. I haven't seen the force main sheet, but, they gave us a list of the companies and what they bid. So WPCA and the 3 beaches are evaluating, Fuss and O'Neill, the engineer, is evaluating the bids, and there'll be another decision what to do. It isn't like one entity says, yes, we'll do it, no, we won't. You have 3 beaches who, if a beach said, it's too high, we're not going to go, they would be in the face of a consent order, so that would be difficult. The DEP wouldn't be very happy. But worse for us would be that you'd lose, maybe 25% of your group, and then the cost would be borne by the rest. So that would be kind of like starting to implode. So we're waiting to see where the force main piece, which the low bid was about $8 million. I haven't seen the similar sheet with the companies and all, but Rich Prendergast, they're having a meeting tonight, so we'll hopefully hear a little more on that. But in a way, we'd like this to go. If we could get working on this force main piece this summer, that would be important, because you have the highway department wants to pave 156 from Essex Bank to East Lyme, and they're kind of going, okay. And if we miss this coming season, they'll probably say, we're paving it, you figure it out.
Yeah.
which is gonna be another big bill.
Do you remember what the initial bids were that came back
I
on the
think
whole
we're
project?
18 or 19 mil for the two companies. They're in that range.
So this is down maybe 4.
Yeah, and we've been talking with Courtney's office and Murphy's office, one of the representatives from Oconee. There have been a couple of conference calls. Courtney has a bright gal there that might be able to rustle up some additional $1 trillion or something. You know.
We'll take it.
So if there were, if we could grab onto a couple of million of something somewhere from Courtney's office, that could really make our day.
Well, have you evaluated or looked at whether the ARPA funds can be used?
They could. The problem is, the ARPA funds would benefit the beach area only, you know, and it wouldn't help businesses, nonprofits, individuals, all.
Well, then it's only $1 or $2 million. It's not going to solve this problem.
Yeah. I think you'd like to try to do the most good with the $2 million instead of the beach area, and it's always been stated that the sewers are gonna, you know, the whole line part of it is Soundview sewer should be paid for by Soundview users of the sewers and not people that live up in Swanswood.
Thanks.
So.
Hey, all right.
Struck a nerve. Okay, so that's work in progress.
So Tim, we've got one additional item that I'd like to add. Are there anything else?
Oh, yeah.
Is there anything else for Selectmen's report?
Well, if you want to digress.
Yeah. If I could, just briefly. Dave, you had an item. Is it for emergency management or is it for fire?
It's for emergency management, it's a funding request.
Yep, so I'll entertain a motion to add $1,000 request from emergency management to the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Dave? If it's short and sweet, it's appreciated.
Something about a 12-year-old daughter. Good evening, everybody. Start out with, as you know...
Dave, is it $1,000?
$2,500.
$2,500, okay.
Start out with, you know that we've had an increase in storms and weather events and reportings with FEMA. In the past, we used to just have a FEMA person come up and say, work with us directly, hands on hand. Eventually, that started going remotely, and as it is now, we're getting more and more requests for information, specific information from FEMA, such as doing a damage assessment. Damage assessment is going out, listening to the radio, finding out where the tree, the wire, the bad road is, or whatever. Physically having to go out there, take a picture of it, record the lat and lon, gather the details, and submit it in a package form to FEMA.
Yeah.
What I'd like to do is get $2,500 to basically buy, and you can pass this around, and I've got it on the screen behind you, is an on-site gathering when somebody comes across it, fire, EMS, police. They can take a tablet or they can use their phone, go through this checklist and identify basically the physical of what's it about, a wire, a pole, a building, a road, a bridge, who the pole owner is, the pole number, the identifier of the site, scrolling down, what are you looking at? Primary wires down, cracked pole, etc. Does it field assessment right there? Currently, what we're getting that as a radio dispatch back to the EOC where we have to write it out longhand. I'm looking for $2,500 to be able to buy this add-on program from ESRI to add to an existing ESRI main account that we already have in the town and we've been maintaining. I just don't have $2,500 in my technology budget to be able to afford to purchase it.
Who's the vendor?
ESRI, ArcGIS.
That seems like a lot of money for what you just shared.
That is that's a $500 add-on. The other add-on.
And what happens? You type it in and it goes directly and we get money faster? Like, what's the benefit of that?
It helps me submit the reimbursement request. Because I have to go out, like now after the fact with Irene, or with Henry and Ida.
Yep.
I have to physically go back out and try to re-identify where the tree and the wire went, take a picture, take a poll.
Okay.
Where Ed had road erosion, going out, doing the road erosion, taking a picture of it, bring it back.
Having put together these reports, Dave, if you could do that and press a button and have the report right there, it's going to help get the reimbursement quicker.
And if Troy, you would pull up your side. This is what we end up with as individuals, emergency responders are out gathering, coming across this stuff.
Particular storm, here's where the damage was.
Exactly. It gives me a geographical mapping, and it gives me a CSV string of all the data that FEMA's asking.
So for a particular storm, it accelerates the reimbursement, and also you've got a record. You can just press a button and say, here's all the 50 things that happened in Old Lyme because of a storm.
Yep. If I can get public safety support to be able to load this and run with this, it's going to be a great advantage to us.
Andy?
So it's a number of pieces of software, $2,500. Is that for a year, for 5 years, for how long?
It's $500 for, this is called Survey 123. Okay. It's an add-on. The other $500 I'd like to get, Troy, if you give it back to me. This is a free version of Arc Online. And I've been working with this for many years now. Oops, too many out. For the town. And we've created layers of evacuation routing. Here's my special needs population. This is where it started. This gives me a physical location of every special needs registration that we have.
So that's great. Now this is free right now, right?
This is free. Yep. It has limitations. The additional $500 would be able to unlock this and give me full access to this program. The remaining $1,500 would be for technical support from ESRI and Applied Geo, who is a licensee experienced people that we're already working with mapping programs.
For how long?
1 year.
So how much would it be to renew for the next year?
$2,500 again next year.
Okay, so it's not a.
But it would be included into my budget request for 2023.
Going in.
Yes.
So when does your year begin and when does it end? A year from when you sign up? Or are you doing something prorated from now till the end of the year?
The best of my knowledge is that it would be a year from sign up, which would give me the overlap throughout the budget years here.
Yeah, so it would just be a bill payable in October.
So you'd need an extraneous addition this year from your budget, right? $2,500, and then it would be part of the budget process in the springtime.
Yes.
For us to approve for going forward.
Yep. What I'd like to ask for permission.
Reimbursable with millstone?
This is not a millstone reimbursable. Believe me, if it was, I've already had it in my pocket.
Yeah.
Because it's software and it's more damage assessment versus the requirements of millstone being direction and control. This is going to be a benefit for me for FEMA reimbursements and also with reportings for Eversource and matching up Eversource's reporting capabilities.
Okay. And you got any room in your budget right now, looking at your
I
budget?
got like $50 left in that technology account.
Okay. Okay.
Make a motion for the additional appropriation of $2,500 from surplus.
Can I, this is Nicole, can I just make a comment?
Yeah, sure.
Before you make them?
Yep.
We already have line items in infotech budget, that have to do with pieces of what he's adding on to. So I would recommend the 2,500 come out of infotech. I think it's probably going to come under line GIS, and probably we have ERSI also in there. I maybe would recommend just not even do an additional appropriation, but see where this, give approval to be paid out of infotech budget, just so the IT committee can keep track of it, and then at the end of the year, we'll see if this department even needs more money. It might, but it might not, and I'd hate to just do an additional appropriation if later on we might need a second.
Okay, so that means no action tonight, right?
We don't.
Right, I
have
guess
to do
it's
it.
just that you understand and not tacitly approve, I guess, that 2,500 additional is going to come out of the infotech that's not been budgeted for, and we might need money down the road.
Yeah, so I don't think we need any action from the Board of Finance tonight. If you think there's room enough right now in the infotech budget to cover it for this year, is that right, Nicole?
Off the top of my head, I want to say yes. I didn't know about this being on the agenda, so I didn't have a chance to look before this meeting. But
yeah, we just added it. So you know what? There is, if the expenditure is made now, in 6 months we can see where we are with the infotech budget and figure out whether we need
This makes us aware that this was an unanticipated item that.
And Nicole will expect the invoice to pass through.
Right, and as long, Michelle, make sure that it's in the minutes. We might need $2,500, in the future or whatever, but yeah, as long as you've got like a couple of sentences to remind us, in 6 months.
He made us aware of
Infotech, if Infotech is going to go over, that it just reminds us of the conversation.
So Nicole, you're recommending it be Infotech contract GIS?
I think what from Dave said, some of it's going to go, it's all going to go under infotech department, under general government, and I think there's maybe 2 line items that the 2,500 will be split between. One's GIS, one's 2 accounts down called ER. Dave calls it ESRI, but
ESRI.
Yeah. So I think I'll just talk to Dave and figure out where that 2,500 should be allocated within that. Does that sound right, Dave?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, basically it would be $1,000 going to ESRI and $1,500 being allocated for, what was the first one you stated? GIS. That's basically applied geo, and I can get my tech support through them.
Okay. June?
Okay.
So Dave, this will be used by the entities for public safety.
Yep.
This is not a public works.
This is not a general public application.
Right, it'll be ambulance, fire, you.
Yeah.
Okay.
EMS.
Yes, EMS.
And possibly going out to Ed at Public Works with his system.
Why? He's expressed some concern about this.
He does not want, and I agree with him.
He doesn't want it on the employee's personal
phone.
cell phones. He does not think that should be expected of them.
Oh, I see.
And if you are going to ask Public Works to use it, I think that if it comes down the road, because maybe it suits the need, there should be a device that is purchased for that job.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I agree 100% with Ed, because it's not fair. One, It's not fair for the town, for a town employee to have to use
Right.
his personal device to do town business.
Right, cost of money,
Unless-
whatever,
yeah.
yeah.
So before
It's still
that
costing
becomes
money
the
or
issue, I
hours.
just want to bring it
No,
up.
you and I are on the same page, Jim.
Exactly.
But I am gonna reach out because Ed has a town phone to be able to load it on his.
Well,
And we're gonna
whatever-
make this program as simple
I
as
just-
possible for him.
Simple but no friction related either. I
No.
want everyone to be able to work
Yeah.
cohesively.
No.
Okay.
Ed and I had that same conversation
Okay,
today,
good.
and I'm totally in agreement with it.
Okay, motion, there's a second. Any further discussion?
I think,
Oh,
with no
wait a
motion
minute.
needed.
We got no
I'm sorry,
motion.
yeah.
motion needed.
They're going
I pull
to
whatever I said off.
You withdraw your motion?
Yeah.
Right.
invoice down,
Thanks.
it'll get charged to
Okay,
IT.
great. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that, yep.
Appreciate the opportunity coming up so late.
Now you can go home.
How do you like the new wireless technology?
I know.
We still have COVID money.
Open it up.
Upgrade some of this stuff.
Spend it while you can before it becomes zero.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay,
Back to the future.
back to the future for selectmen.
Oh, yeah. What's the score?
Okay, the transfer station scale house is really coming along very nicely. The foundation is in, the building is up, not finished, but, you know,
It looks good.
the sides are up, siding's going on, they're doing plumbing and electric inside. We're still looking for the first week of December, so that's coming along.
First week of December, what we got left?
Well, they have to do all the interior, I mean, you know, it looks great quickly when it's
Decorating, Dave.
a lot of internal, they gotta do sheet rock and floors and,
Yeah, they got plumbing and electric.
Installation, plumbing.
Anyway,
well, I mean,
Right.
it's roughed,
yes.
yeah.
The shell is.
Coming along. Blood Street Skulls have signed the agreement about the use of the park. We got 2 signatures to go, but that hopefully, that long, difficult chapter is about to be closed. And last, the Tanamahague Landing, I think the board knows that the landing has been in the town's domain since the 1700s, and the owners did some research on title, and they have concluded that they own it, not the town. And we do not agree with that until proven otherwise by us. So, Sussman Shapiro is working to look at the research that they have done. They have taken a bit of a provocative step to put some planting on the town landing, which probably next week, Jack Collins and I will try to have a conversation to demand its removal. But the owners have publicly stated that the public would be welcome to come to the landing, but we're not sure if it were to be their property, you know, not sure what kind of conditions they might impose. The fact that we've been using it for 300 years might open up a different course of action, known as prescriptive easement or possession. So, you know, we haven't come to any conclusion. We're still maintaining it's a town property, so we're going to go.
Now, Tim, if they're claiming ownership, shouldn't the burden be on them? Why are we spending
Yeah.
dollars? They should do a survey, and it should
Well,
show whether
they've done some title work, which the Sussman people will look at and check it out. But I think.
But the title, you need a survey. The title is the start, the survey is the be-all, end-all. So the survey comes from the title, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But if there was a faulty title work at some point during the 1700s or something. But regardless, the fact that we've cared and fed for it all these years, there might be, you know, it might get into a legal fracas. We would say you're wrong, and they would have to sue us, and the burden of proof would be on them. But that would get into legal, and it could become expensive. But I think
And they're reasonable, good, new citizens here in town, right?
It's a hot button, and I remember when Diana wanted to make the swap of that property with something on the Black Hall River, and we were in the church conducting business instead of here, and boy, the room was like the other night. People were not receptive, so I think it would be, probably people would say go the mile to make sure this stays as a town.
Yeah, stays access, yeah.
More to be heard on that.
Okay.
I have one thing before the meeting ends, and I don't know if it's you, Tim, or Nicole. Usually for our November meeting by then, someone has reached out, again, I don't know if it's Tim or Nicole, to remind all our departments and organizations we'd like their budgets for next year starting to be submitted in November.
October 31st is what Nicole has done historically.
Has she? Okay, I just wanted to make sure that's
just
not...
as a deadline, not that anyone...
No, I know,
half the folks
it
do
doesn't
and half the folks
happen, but I'd like to make sure that it doesn't fall by the wayside with all the events that'll be going on that week in town,
Yeah.
i.e. the election.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Nicole sends out a memo to everyone.
I don't get to talk to Nicole, so...
A capital form and a budget.
Right.
Yeah, yep, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So that is in the works.
This is Nicole. I just wanted to
hi,
say
Nicole.
that letter has not gone out yet. I tend to have it out by the end of the month. There's just been a lot going on. So, yes, I will be sending that out.
Okay, great, Nicole. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. All right.
Motion.
I have something. I would just like to thank Adam Burrows for his time on the board here. This is his last meeting for his retirement from the Board of Finance. So
Taking a break maybe for a while.
yes, Adam, thank you very much for all the time you've spent on the board and all the time you've given the town.
Yep, and tremendous stewardship and good insights, and have enjoyed the time.
I've really
It's been
enjoyed
very
it,
extensive.
but you know, as you know, I'm continuing as the superintendent of schools, and it is extremely busy, and there are a number of issues that, you know, we need to address, especially during this time.
Thank you very much, Alan.
Thank you, Adam. You've been involved in so many...
Come back to voting quite often, too.
Great.
We'll miss you, Adam.
We will.
Thank you.
And indeed, these are public meetings, so you should continue to attend the meetings.
Especially the 4-hour ones, like in the...
Send you a special invitation for that.
Well, even though I've been an alternate, I really, you know, have tried to make it at every meeting, and that's important.
No, you've done a tremendous job.
But, you know,
I was an alternate,
you know,
I think, for
David,
11 years.
you know, just
I was 13.
You know, just before tonight, you know, we wrapped up well, we didn't wrap up, we had a negotiation session, and then, you know, came into the meeting, and, you know, there's things that I have scheduled that have really increased.
Yeah.
And Tim, you recognize it with all the, you know, federal funds and other things,
Oh,
and the grants
boy.
that are coming through, so.
I wish they never sent us the money.
Be careful what you wish for.
All right. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Oh, thanks.
Great. Thank you very much, all. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you.